Hello, 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 and welcome to this space. It's finally here, our webinar on promoting a positive attitude in young children. I am so excited. I'm sure you can feel my excitement. This day has finally come. My name is Ifiok Ikiagu, and I am so excited for today. I've been looking forward to this day. I am ready. Our guests are ready and they're loaded to give you so much value. And I can assure you that you're going to have a great time. I can assure you you'll go home feeling well equipped to face the challenges you may have. All right, so we are broadcasting live from the United Arab Emirates, and I'm so excited. Please do give us a quick hello. Give us a quick word to tell us where you're watching from. Send in your comments, send in your questions. Be sure to like and send in a comment. Host a watch party. Do anything that gets your friends. Do whatever you need to do to get the word out there. We are ready, we are loaded, and we're bringing you great value. Right. If you're watching from the Early Years Heartland group, please, you need to go to the link on the video. Hi, Kelly. It's really nice to see you here. And she's watching from Abu Dhabi. Hi. So what you need to do is you need to enable StreamYard for me to see you. If you're watching from the Early Years Heartland group, please go to the link, the StreamYard link, and enable me to see you. Right. I do have a little perk here. So at the end of this session, we will have a 30 minutes giveaway. It's going to be a 30 minutes consultation, free consultation. So please be sure to send in your comments, be sure to send in your likes, be sure to call your friends and family to get on board. There's going to be great value here. Right? Okay, let's just say our hellos and then we'll get our guests in. Hi, Kelly. Okay, I see Kelly. I see Toto. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Wow, we have someone all the way from Asaba Delta State in Nigeria. Wow, this is amazing. Good to see you here. All right. While we wait for everyone to join in, I'm going to go ahead and introduce our guests. So let's get to it. Right. There is one lady. Now, this is our first guest. She's one lady I value so much. She in the world of early childhood, she is a force. I have worked with her for years, and she's managed nurseries in the UK and in the United Arab Emirates. When she comes on board, she's going to tell you more of herself, but she is one of my great mentors, and she's someone you want to listen to. So can you join me to welcome Miss Fumi Sofidia? Hi, Miss Fumi.
Hi, everybody. How are you? Thank you, Ifiok, for having me on board.
Great. It's nice to have you here. It's really nice to have you here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So would you want to tell, okay. Go ahead. Would you want to tell our viewers a little bit about yourself and just so they get to know you a little bit?
Right. I'm sitting here with Miss Ifiok in the United Arab Emirates. I hail from the UK, and I've been working in the early years sector for almost 15 years now. I've done quite a lot of things. I can never be complacent, but I've managed set up settings, managed children, parents, trained staff, and yes, I'm happy to be on board just to share a bit of my knowledge and experience that I've accumulated over the years. I mean, you can never know enough. And this kind of platform is just nice for us to be able to share and engage each other on what we can do to to actually grow a better future breed of adults.
Yeah.
So yes,
Thank
thank you for
you.
having me on board.
Sure, sure. Thank you so much. Now, our next guest. Oh my goodness, I'm just excited at the thought of having her here. She is dynamism in personified. She is, when you talk of early childhood, when you look out for early childhood practitioners who are going out there and being their best, you need to know there's someone behind them. And this is that person. She has mentored and tutored a lot, hundreds of early childhood educationists. And you can see them come out. I'm one of them. I'm one of them.
I'm
And you can
one.
see
I'm one.
she is one amazing person that you want to meet. I tell you, when you hear her today, you will want to be an early childhood educator. Trust me on this. All right. So, well, she just has a way of bringing out the best in you. So just
She does.
watch out for her. Watch out for this. All right. I would love to bring, can you help me to welcome Miss Eri Akbar? Hi, Miss
Hello,
Eri.
Hi,
everyone.
Miss Mary.
Yeah, no pressure at all. Okay, thank you for the lovely introduction, Ifyok. It was a pleasure having you in my class, and I'm
Oh,
very inspired by you as well to see the good work that
Oh,
you are doing. So please keep
yeah,
it up, okay?
yeah.
sure, sure.
Yes, yes. So yes, maybe a little bit more about myself to the audience over here.
Yeah.
I'm an early years educational consultant, a mentor, as well as a writer. Um, and I have taught both children and adults. I trained teachers who are pursuing the diploma to become early years educators. For those of you in the United Arab Emirates or in the UK, you would be familiar with the cash level 3 diploma for to train and groom lead practitioners. I wasn't always a teacher. I was in past life I was a journalist, and I was a writer for a parenting magazine. And that's when I started volunteering to work with underprivileged children in Singapore, where I am originally from. And I fell in love with early years education. I decided to just leave publishing completely and started training in early years education. I trained in Australia, and then I practiced in Singapore. And then I followed my husband out here to Abu Dhabi in United Arab Emirates. And I worked in earlier settings in Dubai, Abu Dhabi, and then I went into teacher training. So I really enjoy connecting with all the teachers. And I must say that teachers, be proud of who you are.
Yeah.
Okay, you deal with human lives. You are the one that groom our future, the future engineers, CEOs, architects. Okay, so
Yeah.
whatever you do is very, very important. So be proud of who you are and never let anyone tell you otherwise.
Wow,
Yeah.
thank you so much. Thank you. And if I can just add here, you were talking about teachers and how important they are to children's development and all that. I want to also say here that parents are also teachers. So when we say teachers, it's actually parents are the first teachers of the children. So please,
Absolutely.
exactly. So please consider yourself as a parent, or if you have anything to do with a child, if you have anything to do with adding value to a child's life, the upbringing, please consider yourself parents to that child.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Right.
I love the African proverb of it takes a village to raise children.
It does.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, each and every one of us,
Yes. And
is a
and
parent.
in
And
a, yeah, in a setting you could be, we're teachers, we're practitioners, but at the end of the day, you could be a key worker, but you still
Yeah.
playing that role of parent. I mean, there are titles for everything, but the bottom line is your parents. Once you take a child on board or a group of children on board, you're a parent. The only difference is if you're a setting, you're a key worker. If you're in the household, you're a teacher, you're a parent, but it starts at home and we carry it through.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Right. I can see that there are lots of people online already. Honestly, this is amazing. It's nice to see that there's that quest for knowledge. And I'm thanking you for doing this again, because I know that at this time it could be very difficult for some people or for some parents who need this information but don't have it at their fingertips. And that's why
Yeah.
we're doing what we're doing. That is why we have Early Years Heartland. So if you're watching from the Facebook group, Early Years Heartland, well done. You are in the right place. I can assure you that together we will hold our hands and we will make this world a better place for our children. We will hold our hands together and we will
Yes,
raise
that's it.
children with better attitudes. We'll raise children that tomorrow will be the adult that we want to see. So well done. If you're not yet on that group, now is the time. Sign up. Go on the group Early Years Heartland. Ask to be invited, and if as a matter of fact, if you're watching this, you're automatically invited to that group. So please search it out, and you're in. All right. So welcome, 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 everybody again. We are going to be talking about developing or promoting a positive attitude in young children, particularly young children, because I believe that if you get the foundation right, then the rest is history. If you get that early
Absolutely.
years, the foundation for any child right, then you will just sit back and cruise and watch the child bloom. So that's why we're doing this. All right. So welcome again. Welcome again. I mentioned earlier that at the end of the session, we will be awarding 5 people with free consultation, a 30 minutes free consultation from me or from any of the speakers. Okay, I'm sure I just put you on the spot right now, but well, you will get a free consultation. All right, so stay tuned. Send in your comments and your questions. If you have questions that you have on your mind right now, send it in and we will try to answer every single question that is put on here. If you know any friend that should be on this event right now, please call them in, sit back, take a cup of water, take a cup of coffee, take a cold drink, anything that's going to get you comfortable. You've got, yeah, I've got mine. And sit back and just take in this power capsule that we're going to give to you now. All right. Okay, so let's get down to it. Talking about a positive attitude or a positive mindset. You know, for me, in this day where we have everything happening, you know, there's so much happening around that anyone having a negative attitude may just be justified. You know,
Yeah.
however, what is this positive attitude and why is it important? Why do we? Let's identify what a positive attitude is first. So, Miss Eri, I think I'm gonna have you, kick this off. What do we mean by a positive attitude or a positive mindset?
Yes. So we will look at the emotional well-being of children. Okay. So what does emotional well-being mean? A lot of teachers or parents say that I want the children to be happy. But what is happiness? Happiness is about promoting emotional well-being.
Yeah.
Okay. So children who are stressed out, of course, then they are not going to be happy, are they? So we
No.
need to look into factors that would not stress children out. Now, if you think about, the daily routines, yeah, sometimes you might find that children are struggling with a particular skill. So then how do we support them? Okay, do we put pressure on them saying you must do this or you shouldn't do this? Or would you support them to work through their emotions? Okay, there's no way that children are going to be in the best of moods all the time. I mean, we as adults, we know we have our good and bad days. Okay, so we have to acknowledge our feelings that sometimes you might feel upset or sad or angry. So we have to acknowledge those emotions. But what do we do? Do we support children in a positive or a negative way? So this is what mindful parenting or educating is all about. You have to be mindful of what is the child trying to communicate to you, trying to communicate his feelings or her feelings to you. So how do I support the child to overcome these negative emotions? Yeah. So I think we look at how we support children. We always have to make choices. Every day we're making choices and decisions relating to raising our children. So we do have to look at, so what can we do to help them to cope with those emotions, to work through the emotions instead of brushing it aside, or or telling them off. Okay, so I think if you want to promote emotional well-being, you have to acknowledge children's emotions, whether good or bad, and think of positive ways you can help them to cope with all those emotions. And I think in the context of COVID-19 pandemic, it's a worrying time for everyone. And children are anxious, and parents are anxious, teachers are anxious. So as adults, we need to be aware of our own feelings, because sometimes our anxiety can transfer to the children. Yeah. And if we are anxious, children will be anxious. So we have to be aware that we need to have a reality check in with ourselves. How do we manage our own emotions? Because if we can manage our own emotions better, then we can support children positively.
Okay. All right. So one of the things I got from what you said was that a positive attitude means working through emotions instead of avoiding it, instead of
Absolutely.
going around it. And sometimes as parents, our anxiety can be transferred to the children. So having a positive attitude or having a positive mindset means working on your own anxiety in such a way that it does not get transferred to your child.
That's
I
an
don't know
excellent
if,
summary. If you're
Yeah.
excellent,
yeah.
yes.
So I don't
And
know, Miss Wasfumi, it looks like you want to say something there about what
yeah,
a
see,
positive
just to
attitude is.
compound what Miss Eri was saying, it's also about, she's actually covered the main approach. When you're anxious, or you're in unknown times, or in a no setting, is to be able to give the child a listening ear. Sometimes when we as adults are anxious, or we're worrying about things, it could be about jobs, it could be about salaries, paying bills. We sometimes think because they're little, we put them on the back burner. Now, sometimes a child playing out doesn't mean that the child is actually a bad child or a negative child, or we don't use the word a naughty child. But sometimes the child is also as anxious as mummy is, or as daddy is. But because you're overwhelmed with what's going on with the world, you think because they're 2-year-olds and 3-year-olds, you'll come back to them. And when you are ready, you give them a hug and it'll be fine. No, they read our messages, they read our approach. So one of the best or easiest for me till today, as I am, approaches I find with promoting and encouraging and embracing and implementing positive behavior is actually listening to the child.
Yeah.
If you sit down, it could be, you don't have to sit, it could be kneeling down, it could be where that child is, sit on the floor with the child. Just give that child a listening ear, could
Attention.
give that child positivity for the rest of that day. Whereas you not listening to that child could have that child miserable or disruptive for the rest of that day. A listening ear, coming down to that child's level. Don't stand over your children. Don't stand over the children. Come down to their level. Try to find out what they want. It might just be a pen or a lollipop. If they can have it, you give it. If they can't, give them that. It's also about giving them that time, listening, time, patience. You have to promote, you have to be that model. What you want from those children is what you have to give. If you don't give it, they're not going to give it back. That's the baseline. So what I'm trying to say, to compound what Miss Eri was saying, you have to, for positive attitudes, when you want it back, you want to give it, or you want that child to also share it with siblings or friends, you need to give it or promote it first.
Wow. Okay, so let me just quickly summarize from what you have said. If you want to get it, you have to give it first.
Absolutely.
Now,
That's
one of
the
the things
baseline.
that struck me was when you talked about, us as parents, parents being busy with the world around them, forgetting that the child does not even know what's going on. You want that child, you want the child to see the big picture, right? Or
Yeah.
you're anxious about everything that's going on around, and you come back with that anxiety to the child. The child does not understand. You may be part of this world, like you may have been part of this world and know what's going on, but the child has no idea whatsoever. So how he or she is lost when you are lost in anxiety. He or she doesn't understand what is going on. So I think it's that call back, you calling back yourself to say, to understand the place of the child, to be empathic with your child. Then
Absolutely.
I think then you will see what the child is seeing, and you can approach him or her better. So, well, I think honestly, from everything we have said, we basically have given out that power capsule. In a nutshell, we have said what this whole event is all about. Promoting, or how to promote. We've mentioned what positive attitude is. We have talked about how we have mentioned ways to even identify negative attitudes in our children. But I'd like us to throw more light on certain aspects that we've talked about. How do we recognize positive attitude when you see it in your child? For example, what are the characteristics or the traits of a positive mindset or a positive attitude, and how can you observe this in children? Miss Funmi,
Would you like to go
Yeah.
first? Let me go first. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I mean, I'm coming from a background of old school. A child did something and you just took it for granted. Encouragement goes a long way. If a child, for example, pending the age, did a test and got 2 out of 10, in the olden days, you just shout, "Why did you get this? Why?" You actually need to find out why, how, or what was that child's problem, and then you encourage. You say, "Well done for what that child has achieved." If you praise a child for whatever it is they do now, trust me, they will double up that effort
yeah.
further ahead. But when you don't, or you continue to knock, then you'll find out that you're actually breaking that child's spirit way before the time. So when a child does something, a child picks up a pen, your pen could drop, your bag, your child could just give you your bag or your car keys. Say, "Thank you. Well done. Good job." Trust me, the next day you see him struggling with a bucket to say, "Mommy, here you are. My teacher, here you are." Encouragement, encouragement, positivity. So you acknowledge it by the child being involved. You should not belittle any kind of action that a child is taking on board. Don't belittle it. Don't overlook it. Don't forget it, because it actually, especially for a child that is an introvert, it actually pushes them farther into a corner.
Mm.
So you need to acknowledge whatever it is they're doing. And trust me, children do a lot of things. It could be that they just took their t-shirt to put on. And you might think, that's the norm. No, it's not. Not all children can do that. Not all children will do that without help. So when your child is independent or showing independence or showing empathy, or you do this and your child says, "Oh, mommy, what's the matter?" He's showing empathy.
Empathy.
The child
Yeah.
is showing that empathy. How does he know? He doesn't. That child might not understand what empathy is, but if you allow that child understand what it is, that child will do it again. So the bottom line is we should not take any of these things for granted. Also, for example, we're in the UAE. One thing I found coming from the UK, a lot of our children, we're speaking English here, but a lot of our children here, English is their second language. We as adults, even parents that have a second language, a lot of parents still automatically presume or prefer that their children understand what they're saying in English.
Yeah.
We need to accommodate what children are saying in their language. So if a child says, finish, khalas, correct that later, because a lot of parents send their children to school to learn English. So when a child says something in their dialect, you get upset. Don't get upset. Acknowledge what the child has said first, in whatever language or dialect it is. Where later on, you can then go back to say, "Okay, you said kalas, but you say finish. Thank you, shukran." But what I'm trying to say is that acknowledge, don't knock. Don't knock, don't be negative at what a child is putting to you, because that puts them into a pot. And communication is the key to success. So whatever communication you're getting, I've just done a course on Makaton. It could be sign language, but acknowledge what is being put to you. Don't bottle it, because that could put a child into that bottle without you realizing it, and it does long-term damage.
Yeah.
That is the biggest problem, long-term damage, which you can't see, but it builds up. A child who's pushed into a corner in nursery will start struggling in primary school. By secondary school, he or she hates school. That's why, as early years practitioners, we're actually trying to build and groom children for the better future. But the key is to get the tools right now, so that they're resilient, they're understanding of what we're trying to implement for positivity now. Even when there's a negative, if a child hits another child, you need to explain to that child
Oh, dear.
why. Why did you do that? Would you like that be done to you? And if not, and then you work on apologies and the consequence. This is part of resilience. This is part of living. And this is part of the positive attitude that we require to succeed in life.
Wow, thank you so much. I don't know if anyone else heard or was taking down notes. Please, I hope you're taking down notes wherever you are. But from all you have said about what or how we recognize positive attitude in children, or what the characteristics or traits of a positive attitude is, I will just summarize what you said. You've mentioned understanding, child showing understanding, showing empathy, showing independence, showing resilience. Now, one of the things you mentioned there was encouraging children's small efforts, and how this relates to their building independence and resilience. I want to add here about how this helps them develop a great sense of self
Yeah.
as an individual. And I think it's really important here, because when a child can sense that, when a child has a positive sense of self, okay, when a child feels that, okay, I am enough, I can do this, it helps his or her competency level. So when a child feels positive about himself, I think that spurs him or her to do more. So when you start to see competency levels rise here and then, you wonder, why is this child always doing his best? Why is this child always trying hard? Why is he never giving up? It's because he or she believes in himself. He has a very strong sense of self. So it's important that as parents, you encourage your child, acknowledge them, no matter how the small successes lead to the big ones. So when a child does anything, and it may seem small to you, but that child is so happy with what he or she has done, encourage the child, and that will spur him or her to do more. Thank you so much for that enlightenment, Ms. Fumi. Now, I want to see examples. So I'm just thinking of examples now, more specific examples of positive attitude in action. So, for example, the other day, my children were on Khan Academy, and it's one of these sites that are educative sites for children. And my little one at some point she sat back, and I walked into the room. What's happening? She said, "Mommy, this looks difficult for me, but I'll keep trying." At that point, I knew that I've done something right. At that point, I was like, wow, okay, I'm just going to step back. She doesn't need me. I felt good in myself. Now, how can parents see these, positive attitudes every single day in action? Do you have any examples that, from experience that you may have to share with us? Miss Erin, would you like to take that?
Yes, sure, of course. Okay. So I think I will address it in a context of building self-efficacy. Okay. I think you might remember this
Yeah.
theory by Albert Bandura. Okay. So he talks, what is self-efficacy? It is, putting that belief in children that they can succeed. Okay. So if you have self-confidence, you have belief that you can succeed. If you fall down, you get back on your feet. You'll bounce back. Yeah. So definitely that would be considered a positive attitude today, to have a sense of self-efficacy. And the belief that you are able to succeed. Okay,
Yes.
so our role is to support children to cope with challenges in
Mm.
life. Okay, it's not to remove the challenges for them or not to do things for them, but our role is to facilitate, to support them, okay,
Yeah.
step by step, so that they feel that yes, I can solve problems, yes, I can do it by myself. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's our role. So I mean, I think sometimes you know parents or even teachers, they fear for children. They have the children's best interest at heart. They want to make sure the children are protected, but we must be careful, we must be mindful that we are not mollycoddling children. Okay,
Mhm.
because
Absolutely.
we are not doing any justice for the children. Our
Yes.
role here is merely to support and to help them cope with the challenges. Imagine a child, a 5-year-old child, who's able to teach himself a new skill, who's able to try to learn to ride bicycle, even though he has fallen down, he get back on it and say, I'm going to get it right. I'm just going to keep practicing, and eventually one day I'm going to be a marvelous bicycle rider, for example, or
Mhm.
cyclist. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is what we want to make sure that we are helping children to cope through these challenges. So we have to be very mindful of the way we react to children on a daily basis. For example, a child is trying to pour water into his own cup and he spills. Of course, he's still developing his fine motor skills, right? He's still
Mhm.
trying to get his eye and hand coordination right. And how do we respond to it? Do we respond, oh my God, you've made a mess?
Yeah.
Or do we respond, oh, no problem, just take the cloth and just wipe it up and try again. See,
Yes.
our response to that is so, so important. There's a
Yeah.
difference between breaking children's spirit and building that
Abs-
self-efficacy.
Absolutely.
Wow.
I don't know why.
Wow.
I don't know if I could add a point onto
Yes,
what she said
please.
there.
Yes.
I've had, well, what with Miss Eri said, I've had the privilege of, in the last couple of years, working with children with special educational needs. Now, what we call the regular children is one sector, but we've also got children who, in the naked eye, will say they misbehave. But like you said earlier on, we've got to challenge them. I had a child last year who couldn't climb the stairs. He could, but because everybody kind of felt sorry for him, they would carry him up the stairs. So I, for example, just to encourage positivity, said, stop. Now, initially, the mindset from the people in school were, what is she doing? That's a negative. It wasn't. I said, this child can do it, but you need to give him the time. You need to, where the other children were flying up the stairs in a minute, he took, the first time we did it, it took us 15 minutes. And even his mother, who was used to having a maid do it, I said, you need to, the positivity for this particular child is to allow him exert his physical skills. Carrying a child like that, so that by the age of 5, he's going to be an introvert. So what I'm trying to say is that the positive was giving him that time to climb those stairs slowly, one by one.
Okay,
And
one.
when he did it, the first time he did it, you should have seen the smile on his face, because people take it for granted, especially with children. I'm saying in that sector, or children that have, they get overlooked, they get put on the corner. I gave a child a couple of shaving foam. His mother had always bathed him, put him in the corner, so he always looked nice, he always looked decent, but he wasn't actually doing anything all day. So I got some shaving foam, got him dirty. I'm telling you, the mother called me to say, Miss Fumi, what did you do? I said, I gave him the opportunity to do what he could do best. This is a child who could not speak. He has no communication. But
Mm.
from what he did with the shaving foam, the smile on his face
And
showed that communication, which is a positive, which has taken us to further levels now. So the
yeah.
key is never to overlook what a child is doing,
Mm.
which in the cultural side of things happens a lot. We need to contextualize our children to know what it is so that we can encourage it, embrace it, and improve it onto a higher and better platform. Because sometimes you'll miss it without realizing it.
Absolutely.
Wow.
We have
Excellent.
to
Yeah.
believe in the children.
Yes, you
Okay.
do. If
If
you
you want,
don't,
yeah,
yeah,
precisely.
if you don't believe, you can't expect These young children, 1 minute they're 3, the next minute they're 5, the next minute they're 10. But it takes from, I always say from 0 to 5, I say from 0 to 10. Once you've shaped a child, that's it. Once a child has certain values from that early age, you can't change it. You can advise, you can supervise, you can shout, you can say things, you can give them guidelines. But the early in things that you instill in a child from the earliest stage is what will carry them for the rest of their lives. And once it's set in their mind, they can't change. So if you don't encourage or explain to a child what empathy is, if you don't give a child time or your time, or you don't listen, that child will grow up not listening. If you shout at a child will shout back at you. That's the bottom line. You shout, they will shout. So don't shout. Yeah. Understand, give them quiet time. And even quiet time, I always work when my children, when I give them quiet time, there are times when I say, do quiet time on your own. But before that quiet time is up, I will sit with that child. So we understand why we're doing that quiet time. So we're better for what we're doing after the quiet time.
So you know, when you mentioned one of the strategies that when you said if you shout, the child will shout, it immediately reminded me of one of the strategies for behavior management, where if a child is screaming and all that, and you need to get that child's attention, you need to get the child to listen to you. Shouting will not do the job. As a matter of fact, take your voice tone down to the barest minimum, and that child will be quiet. Because trust me, a child that wants to get your attention, when he sees the littlest attention you give him, he'll jump at it. So if a child is screaming and you're screaming, come on, it's counterproductive. But however, if you bring your voice to the barest minimum, the child will keep quiet to hear what you're saying. We'll keep quiet to get that little attention that he's even getting from you. So that has always worked. That has always worked for me. And is there an echo? I thought I heard an echo.
Oh, no.
I heard an echo, yes.
Okay. I think it's gone now. So you've also talked about, Miss Eri, you talked about supporting children to cope with challenges. That's our role. It's our role to support the children to cope with challenges, not to run away from them. I think this is one of the things you also mentioned. And one thing that struck me with what you said was step-by-step methods. Now, I want to emphasize this. This is, as you were speaking, this came to my mind. I want to emphasize the step-by-step because, like I said earlier, children, they do not see the big picture. You want to get them to be empathic. They don't see that. They don't know what that is. But taking step-by-step measures to help the children see that big picture means introducing the small images that make up that big picture. I don't know if I'm relating what I have in my head right now, because
yes.
The small images. For example, you want a child to be patient. How patient are you with teaching a child to pour his own water? So a child, how much patience does the child see you exhibit every day? So that is the small picture I'm talking about that will create the big picture of empathy for that child. All right. Yeah. So I don't want to take over this. Ms. Fumi, you even already mentioned, what the outcomes could be for children. But I'd like you to throw a little bit more light on that. What could be the outcome of having a positive attitude for children later years in life, or as they grow? Why positive attitude? Why should we bother?
A positive outcome in general would, for a child from an early age who's actually taught or who actually grows up in a positive environment will be a better person for whatever it is he or she does. Yes. There are times when you'll always work with people, you'll live with people. If you're not a positive person, you will struggle. Now, resilience, let me give you an example of resilience. For example, you might be in a class or in a workplace with somebody. You don't have to like that person, but you should be able to share the same airspace with that person and get the job done. Mm-hmm. Now, if you don't have the right coping tools, the right resilience, I don't like him, that I don't like him, I don't like her, will keep you from doing your job. And keeping you from doing your job will get you the sack. So, like Miss Eri said earlier on, you need to be empathetic, you need to be resilient, you need to have the coping tools to be a better person, to share life. We're sharing a platform today. We need to be on the same kind of page to be able to share that. If we didn't, the message will not come across. So there needs to be uniformity, there needs to be time, there needs to be patience, so that you can accommodate and take in whatever the brief is. The world is full of briefs right now. You don't know what that is. Okay, like you said earlier on, we're living in the time of a pandemic. What we're doing today would not be, we'd be sitting in a room if it wasn't for the pandemic.
Yeah.
But we've had to learn from what we've learned, resilience. We've had to learn understanding that we have to work with what the world is giving to us right now.
To us, yeah.
Not everybody likes, I spoke to people, not everybody likes getting dressed for a computer, but that's what we've had to do right now. It is part of it. So you learn coping mechanisms. We all require coping mechanisms. And what works for one person might work differently for somebody else. But the general rule, like a license, like a driving license, you might learn in England, I might learn in Nigeria, somebody might learn in Malaysia, whatever. But we have a baseline. That baseline is what will carry us through. And then you customize it according to your individual needs. But without that baseline of coping with what's out there, you'll be anxious, you'll be depressed. I looked at the news this morning. In the UK, the depression and anxiety rate has gone up. A lot of children cannot cope. They can't cope on their own. And it's what's making it worse. Their parents are not coping. And that lack of coping has gone worse. Some children are actually stronger than their parents if they've started on a strong platform. Because when a child comes up to you and says, Mom, are you all right? Mom, are you okay? It's because that child has an inner strength. Because that child has that empathy that you're looking for. You can't buy empathy. It is something that grows in you from your core. But when a child says, Mom, you're right. Mom, would you like a cup of tea? Then you're already on a good ground. That child will actually see somebody. You see a 2-year-old, his friend falls over. Oh, are you okay? Oh, you got wawa. That is empathy.
Wow.
And that is the attitude that grows, that builds. You can actually build like scaffolding. You can actually build on that. Once you build on that, that child becomes a better person for tomorrow. Children that don't have empathy is because they've not been, when we talk about people that, oh, he's so harsh, he's so aggressive. Surprisingly enough, a lot of children have had that aggression from a very young age 2, 3, 4, but parents, or in most cases, I'll say it's the parents from experience, but the setting or the parents or the adult, let's say the adult in the picture, and said, oh, he's only little, leave him. So you've allowed that negativity to fester. You never allow negativity to fester. If there's a negative, you need to deal with it. You need to face it. That child needs to face it. If there's a consequence, oh, if you do this, I'll take away your toy. If you do that, you go and sit on the step for a minute. That doesn't kill a child. It doesn't harm a child. It actually makes a child understand that I need to not do this. And you nip it in the bud at an early age. When you don't nip things in the bud in an early age, they only get worse. And that is the biggest problem.
Okay, well, honestly, there's so much value here. I feel like I'm in an early childhood certification course already. So for our viewers out there, I'm sorry, I probably just got carried away with, the conversation and everything. Please, if you're getting value, I just need you to type in the comment section, value, 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 value. If send in your comments. Let's know how and what you're getting from this. We promised you value, we promised you substance, and I want to believe that that's what you're getting. So please send in your comments, send in your statements, and let's know what value you're getting out of this. Okay, so from everything that has been said, our responses to children is a link. It's a link to the development of these positive attitudes that we're talking about. Our responses, I think this is it in a nutshell. how you respond to a child, what's the content of your response to that child, that is or can be said to be the basis of a positive attitude that the children have. Okay, so that's something I'm taking home with me right now. Our response is, consider what your responses are to the children.
I would like
So
to add, if you,
yes, please. Yes,
I
please.
just want to drive this message home.
Mm-hmm.
Is for us to adopt mindful parenting or educating, because we have to be aware of the choices and decisions that we make every day impact children.
Absolutely.
Okay, so if we want to build self-efficacy,
Mm-hmm.
resilience,
Mm-hmm.
kindness, empathy, then we need to be good role models.
What else?
We
Yeah.
need to make sure that we're helping children, okay, to cope in a positive manner. What we say, what we do, how we act, they will copy us. So
Hmm.
this is very,
Absolutely.
very important. Yes.
So actually,
And to
Miss
ground that,
Miss,
sorry, one second.
yes,
Sorry,
yes,
one
please.
just 1 second before you go
Sure,
on.
go
And
ahead.
because I'll forget it, we need to be consistent. Whatever the rule or the
Hmm.
guidelines that we have, it needs to be consistent. If you say yes for a certain thing, and that comes into the boundaries and stuff, just to
Mm-hmm.
going on from what Miss Eri said, you need whatever it is you're putting out there. If you're not consistent, mixed messages, send a child to Lally. You need to be consistent on your guidelines. Yes, you do. Because once you start changing, you'll never get it right. It's like
That's
worm
true.
let out of a bottle. So you need to be consistent.
I just remembered. I don't know if you ever had the experience of not wanting to go to school. Like, I don't like my math teacher. Oh, honestly, I don't know. I want to believe that at least there's one teacher or there's someone that a child has grown up not liking, and that
Yeah.
probably affected a whole lot of things. I grew up not liking my math teacher, and I would say I was so bad at math, but I never like really got to the A plus and the A's of math. And that, but right now, all that it's changing because children see math in a different way, and seeing that math is in your everyday experiences. That's I feel, um, you know, has changed a lot for children. So how a child perceives an activity or how a child perceives something is, I think that's the way the child will relate to it. And so that brings me to my next question. How?
Oh,
So positive attitude. How? How? Where do we start as parents? So let's say this is a blank piece of, how do I start with my child to develop this positive attitude? How?
Towards
Where do I
learning.
start?
Maybe we can
Sorry?
address it in the context of learning.
In the
We can
context of
address
learning?
this. Yes. Yeah. Yes. So definitely, children have different interests,
Mm-hmm.
and some of us, if you look at Howard Gardner's concept of multiple intelligences, different children will have different strengths or talents. Some might be better linguistically, some might be better mathematically, some might be
Mm-hmm.
better kinesthetically. So, of course, there are, if you are linguistically inclined, you might love learning languages and literature, but perhaps not so much
Mm-hmm.
mathematics because it doesn't come naturally to you. You're not inclined to that. Yeah. So we have to make those learning experiences meaningful for the children, because there's value in every subject, in social studies, in science, or in the early years we call it understanding the world. um, uh, so there's always value in learning, and children are naturally born curious, all of us. Sometimes we switch on the news, or we scroll down and catch a glimpse of an article, and that triggers our curiosity and say, oh, what's that? I want to learn more, I want to find out more. We are born with that innate curiosity. No one can take that away from me, or any one of you. So, therefore, why do children lose interest in certain subjects, for example,
Mm.
is because they have adopted a negative attitude towards it, because it's boring, because it's too difficult, because there's no one to support me, and so on. But if we were to create meaningful experiences for the children, then they will, adopt a positive attitude towards it. And of course, there's no one size fits all approach. Every child is unique, so you have to differentiate the way you teach children. Okay, so you
Mhm.
would want to make sure that you understand the child, and that always comes with observation. You just want to take a step back and just observe the child. Okay, what is the child struggling with? And then you can create a plan to intervene and to provide support for the child. So every child is different. We cannot approach and say, why is your brother like this, sister like this, your neighbor like this, your play date like this? We cannot
Mm.
compare children. Okay, we are all different. How would we like it if someone compares us? Oh, you're not such a good cook, or you can't you can't work out your sums properly, for example. We wouldn't like it. So we don't want to impose that on children as well. So if you want to create a positive attitude for learning, then you have to create meaningful learning experiences for the
Yeah,
children. And the meaning is determined by the child. Okay, it's not what we think is right for the children. It's about understanding what the child needs and then responding to that need.
yeah,
Wow. Wow.
yeah,
So on meaningful experiences has to do with you understanding the need of the child and providing the experiences based on that need. I think that's
absolutely.
when, yeah, that's when the child will, will be in sync, actually. Like, this is actually going to meet my need. And the child will be in sync with whatever it is you're trying to present. Fantastic. Thank you so much, Miss Eri. Um, well, we have a couple of questions here. We have a number of questions, and we're getting down to the questions. Sorry, excuse me. And we'll read some of the comments here. There's some really lovely comments I'm seeing here. And thank you, everyone that's watching right now on YouTube, on Facebook, or whatever, or on the Facebook group. Thank you so much for tuning in and for staying on. It means a lot to us. Like, we wouldn't just be presenting to ourselves, but the fact that you're here and you're still here means that you're getting great value, and it means a lot to us. So thank you so much for staying on. Now, Miss Fumi, do you
Yeah.
mind throwing a little more light on um, positive attitudes, how to develop positive attitudes in children in the context of behavior? The context of, so Miss Eri just spoke about, a positive attitude in the context of learning. Now, how about in the context of behavior? How can parents,
The
promote
the
that?
big the biggest word I'll use, I'd like parents to hold on to. The biggest word to use here is support. And that word support is a word that can be used in different angles. Parents need to support their children. And like I said earlier on, you look at what your child is doing. How do you support a child? It's Monday morning, there's school. Your child doesn't want to go to school. That might be his norm. But if you actually wondered whether he might have a stomach ache, or better still, there's something going on in school that he doesn't like. Support means, yet again, like I've always said, you give the child a listening ear. You find
Mm,
out without that negative backup what that child wants. So you have to support to find out. You need to talk, you need to communicate. Why don't you want to go to school? Or better still, what I know with my children who are quite old, I used to, when I pick them up from school, I'd ask, how was your day?
mhm,
What did you do? Not only what did you like, you see, one of the bigger problems is there's a facade in the world where we only capitalize on what's good. Sometimes you have to chip at what is bad to make it better. So when I ask my child or my children tell me what was good, I like to ask them, what did they not like? Because what is good will continue, hopefully, to be good. Supporting your child but
Mm.
is by finding out what was bad. If you had to do, for example, a timeout, or you had to tidy up or do something, ask that child why. Why were you told to do what you didn't like? Finding that out could reflect on a lot of things. Is there an issue? Do we need to query the setting? Do we need to query the teacher? Maybe not. But on the flip side, maybe we do.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about blame, but the main word is support. Support your children by finding out what's going on. And if you
Mm-hmm.
don't know what's going on, or you presume because I've dropped you in school, I've told you to go and learn, that's all that matters. Remember, from the early years platform, there are different areas. So for me,
Mm-hmm.
I'm very big on social and emotional development. The maths and English matters, but it doesn't if a child is not happy. So
Happy.
if a child is given
Absolutely.
some, yeah, if a child is given some work to do and it doesn't do it, for example, children develop or children do certain activities in a different way. Certain people feel a pen and paper is all a child needs to learn. If I tell you to, for example, we're doing a numbers activity, some children would like to sit down and write. Some children would like to go and get some balls and do that counted activity through throwing balls. How many blue balls do you see? How many yellow balls do you see? That is
Mm.
counting, but in a different way. But some parents, for example, think if it's not written down on pen and paper, it's not right. No. So we have to have an open mind. When we as practitioners have an open mind, we need to explain and share that open mind to our parents. That there are different ways for our children to learn to get to that end result. The end result
Mm-hmm.
is, how does the child know how to count from maybe 1 to 5 or 1 to 10? And it's not on pen and paper for every child initially. And that is
Wow.
why the behavior, a child that wants to go and learn how to count on the carpet is not disruptive. That is that child's way. That is that child's approach. And we need to accommodate that. And we need to understand that. So we have to have guidelines and understanding and a broad mind to know what it is for that child to get to. The key is for that child to learn. How that child learns is down to the practitioner. And there are different ways of approaching learning. That's why the early years platform is nice, because we take every child at their own personal rate of development. So supporting behavior, if a child is throwing balls. If one of my children, which has happened in the past, throws a number of balls, I'll tell him, go and pick up those balls and tell me how many blue balls you found, how many yellow balls you found. Do you know, in between him tidying up and sorting out his disruption, he's actually learned how to count at the same time. So
Yeah.
learning is multitasking, not in a box. You need to come out of that box. So you're supporting that child. That child will go home knowing how to count, not realizing that he's tidied up, but he's also learned how to count at the same time.
Yeah,
So
great.
you scaffolded that child, and then tomorrow, the next day, that child who's counting balls that he threw all over the class will tomorrow sit down, if you're lucky, and actually work on paper.
You know,
It's the way you do it,
I like the fact that you said if you're lucky,
if you're
because
lucky.
you cannot predict. Like this is theory. Like so
And
children
that's
are
why you persevere. And that's why, as
yeah.
practitioners, that's why when we want to accommodate or promote positivity in children, we as practitioners, as educators, we have to approach our day with positivity. We
Mhm.
have to self-affirm positivity that yes, I
Modeling,
can
yeah.
do it. I'm going into class, I'm going into the nursery today. It's going to be a good day. And wherever there are hurdles, I'm going to achieve and overcome those hurdles with a smile.
Yeah. So modeling. So let me just bring this down and summarize what you said. It's about modeling. Modeling the behaviors that you want to see in the child. I think for me, that's one of the first things I would advise. You want to see it. So if you want to see it in the child, be it for the child.
That is what you preach. You have
So yes, if you want to see, be what you want to see in the child. Start modeling and expecting. It's important that you expect the behavior, because if you're not expecting it, it probably will show up
So, for
in
example,
small ways, and you might not see it, you might miss it.
if you have a child who throws things, I even tell my staff, I always say the first thing is not for you to sit and command, go and pick this up, go and pick that up. Do you know what I actually go and pick up toys and
Yeah.
put them where they need to be? And then the child sees me do that. You have to practice what you preach. Do not just command a child, go pick those up. That doesn't work. And that's a negative. Because the child doesn't have to, I will not listen to you. If you pick up a toy, sometimes, you know what I do? I'll actually pick up the toys or the bricks with the child, follow the child to where that deposit needs to be made. Trust me, once you have done that and the child has seen you do that, the child will follow. It might not be the first thing. That's where perseverance comes in. But try and try again. They get the message. Lining up, line up, line up. You as a teacher, get in the line. If you line up, your children will line up with you.
Wow, we are having so many lovely comments here. You're going to want to see them, but I can hardly wait to get to the comments. I am seeing some people. Oh my goodness, you will be amazed by the comments we have here. So just in a minute, we'll go on to that. While you were speaking, I remembered, since we're giving examples, okay, about being a role model. Well, when you have children in the classroom and you want to get the attention of a child, one thing I see that's common, and we're currently working on, is where you have a parent or a practitioner. So let me not take this, in the class, for example, at home, you want to get the attention of your child, and you're calling the child a timer, or you're shouting. That's my daughter's name, by the way. You're shouting at the child, and how do you expect the child not to shout when the child needs to get your attention? So I think walking up to the child, addressing the child, basically it's just modeling. Okay, I think we've said enough about this. Now, I would love to see comments from the audience. Do you have you thought, what other ways can we, as parents and practitioners, as people that work with young children, what other ways do you think we can use? What other strategies are there to use to promote children to have or express positivity, to express positive attitude, to have a positive mindset? Please let your comments come in, and very soon we're going to take comments. We're getting to the end of this, and it's been value all the way. So please send your comments in, and we will read them very soon. Before, I'm just going to take one last question. What factors could inhibit the development of a positive attitude? If you could just give like one or two factors that stand out that would prevent or stand in the way of a child developing a positive attitude, or a parent teaching his or her child to develop a positive attitude.
If you're impatient.
Okay.
If you don't understand the child. If
Yeah.
you don't understand the child is trying to communicate to you. They may not always communicate it in words. They may communicate in actions. But if you misinterpret their actions as misbehavior, when they're just trying to tell you that I am not feeling good, or there's something that I need.
Yes.
So that gets in the way. Yeah.
That could relate to, they could wet their bed, they could do anything, like some things like that, and you think, oh, what did you? But they're actually communicating to you.
Yeah. So communication is key. Understanding what the child is trying to tell you, and communicating to the child in such a way that the child will understand what it is, what information it is you're trying to pass across. I'm going to go over to the comment section right now because I've just been itching to go there. But thank you everyone who has been here. Oh my goodness, I just saw someone greeting. Okay, so let me start from here. I will just start from here. So we see greetings from the toddler tree. Glad to be here. Okay. I wish I had a bell, or I wish I had something. I would just scream. This scream is for the toddler tree. You would wonder why I'm screaming. This is where my journey began.
Oh
This is
wow.
where this is where
Okay.
my journey as an early childhood educator began. I have tears in my eyes right now. So the toddler tree, thank you so much for coming on board. This means the world to me. This means the world to all the children that I have ever taught as an early childhood educator. Thank you so much for being here. Okay, so for the other comments that we have Kelly in the house. Hi, Kelly. Can we say hi to Kelly, please? She's
Hi,
saying
Kelly.
hi
Hi,
from Abu
Kelly.
Dhabi. Kelly has been here all the way. She has other comments that she has been sending in. We have another comment here. Someone says, let children express their feelings to build confidence and independence too.
Yes.
So let children express their feelings because that way, thank you so much for this comment because you give them a voice. So when children feel that they can be heard, it takes them to the next level of competence. It takes them to that place where they can approach anything and everything with such confidence that would marvel anyone. So thank you so much for this comment. Oh, we have Takba here. We have another viewer. I think when we see Facebook user, it means that the people these people are from the group and they have not yet enabled us to see who they are. So I'm hoping
Right.
that somebody can get around this. Okay. All right. Okay. So this was one of the statements that Miss Eri made, and she said, our role is to support children to cope with challenges. And Miss Fumi said, never overlook what a child is doing. It's important because there might just be a hidden message there. We have, okay, so this is a question, and Miss, okay, so just look at the question, and maybe Miss Fumi, would you want to take this? She's
How
asking, how do we build a positive attitude in a child who can't finish any activity and doesn't listen to you or anybody? This question is from
yeah, I
Iman Magazi.
okay, hi man. Doesn't listen. I think obviously I don't know the child. There are children like that. We always say like children like that sometimes have ants in their pants. Have you actually had the time to sit down with that child? Sometimes if that child is erratic all over the place, have you given him or her enough time? Because that's the other thing, especially with the early years platform. Some children, if there's a brief or there's an activity or a project, some children, this is where we must not generalize. Some children can finish an activity in a set period of time. Some children can't. I have children who we set something on Sunday, they might not finish it till Wednesday. The key is, are you flexible enough to allow that child take his or her time to do that? On the flip side, is that child engaged enough? Because sometimes some children don't finish things because they're bored. So you have to look at what you've set out for that child. Is it challenging
Mm,
enough? Sometimes if what you've given that child, be it an activity, be it play, be it academics, if what that activity you've given that child is not challenging enough, he's not going to sit and do it. She's not going to sit and do it. Sometimes challenge them a bit more. Push the bar, push up the chart.
mm,
That's why we try, especially in early years, to put our children in challenging environments. And you'd be surprised to know that the things you think they can't do, if you put it in front of them, there's a high chance they actually want that opportunity to solve problems. And sometimes if the problem is or there's not a challenge, then they blow it off. And if your child is a child who maybe watches a lot of films or watches a lot of the iPad and things like that, you find that they're actually a lot more advanced than we think. So
mm,
look at what you're actually giving that child. Look at if you're actually giving him or her enough time. If you're not Give that time. In fact, on the flip side, if you're giving too much time, cut down the child and increase the challenge. You might see things change.
All right.
Just
So,
want
Miss
to
Eri,
say
I saw
hello
you
to
wanting
Iman.
to
She's
say
one of our.
something. Yeah.
Just saying hello to Iman. She's one of my former students.
Oh, wow.
Uh,
Okay, man. Well done. Welcome, welcome. Okay, so we have another comment from Kelly. Kelly says, great talk, well explained. Wow, thank you so much, Kelly. This shows me that there's value here, and we're going home with something. Thank you so much. We have Iman again. I told you, Iman, she's on the roll. So Iman says you just gave a positive support by your great talk and explanation. Wow, thank you. I want to guess that
Thank
she's
you.
appreciating us for the talk and explanation so far. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. We have some comments from our individual pages, but right now, I want to mention again. I mentioned it at the beginning that we will be giving a 30 minutes free consultation to 5 people here. So if you're still here, that might just be you. We will contact you at the end. I'll contact you at the end. We're really running out of time, but I want to believe that there's great value here. So thank you everyone who has stayed on from the beginning till this time. Please give us your feedback. Let's know how this has helped you. Let's know how much information you're going home with. We have Kelly saying hi from Abu Dhabi. I did not show this comment. Hi. Okay, so I think we already mentioned her. So please, thank you so much, everyone. Miss Fumi and Miss Eri, I think our audience have been amazing. Just
Yes.
staying here for
Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much. Can we just I feel like we should just give them a round of applause for staying with us. Thank you
Thank you so
so
much.
much. Thank you.
Tune in again.
Yeah, honestly, I want to stay on. I want to stay and just keep talking. But I think we're going to have to draw the curtains on this one for, here and now. But are there any final words? We still have comments coming in. You can give your final words and then I'll go right back to the comments again, the few comments we have.
Fumi, go ahead.
So please, Miss Fumi, if you want to give your final words or closing remarks or comments.
My final words are, let's, especially during this time of the pandemic, I mean, what we've experienced this year, we might never experience again in our lifetimes, but it's affected our children in a way that's, like I said, we can't explain. So let's be positive as adults, as practitioners, so that we can encourage our children to deal with whatever it is that is ahead of them, because right now we're living in the world of unknown. Positive vibes. Speak positivity to your children. Find some phrases, maybe 1 or 2 phrases that you can actually say to your children. Yes, darling, you can do this. You are able. You are pretty. You are lovely. Just find positive vibes and affirmations that you can give to your children every day, and it will take your children a long way.
Wow, thank you so much, Miss Eri. You want to go?
Yes, I would say remember to always build positive relationships with the children. Your role is to support them, okay, so that they're able to build practical skills, build resilience, self-efficacy. Your role is always to support, be their cheerleader, be their champion.
Yes. All the time, 24/7.
Wow, thank you so much. Well, we have another comment here from Chinedum Ikiagu. Oh, that name sounds familiar. That is my husband. Oh, we need a bell. Oh, I have to say this. Thank you so much for coming on. He says great insights. Great insight. Thank you so much for coming here. It
We
means a
need to
lot
get
to
more
me.
dads. We need to get more
Yeah.
dads on board, really. They are
Really,
very, very
maybe.
important role models for children. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. Important. Honestly, that's really important, and that just gives me another idea. Who knows? That might just be the next event we might have.
Yeah.
Targeting dads in of children in their early years. So thank
Not
you
targeted,
so much. Yeah.
embracing them. We
Embrace.
need them.
Okay, not
Yeah,
targeting.
embrace them.
See, we're
Yes.
talking positivity here, not
Yes.
targeting.
Embrace the dads.
Yeah. Yes, yes, and yes. So, all right, I'm just gonna put that in the cooler, and someday it might just come up. Yeah. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. I will have to say, I don't want to say bye, but we're just gonna step back, go cook up something else, and then we'll come right back to you. So, to our viewers out there, we're stepping
Thank
away now. We're gonna cook something, and we're gonna come right back to you. So look out for this. Look out for this space, early years heartland. If you're watching and you're not yet on that group, I'd encourage you. This is an open invitation to you right now, because the fact that you're here means that you have a passion, you have a heart for early childhood. So please go on to Early Years Heartland and invite yourself. And that's it. We're building a community. We're building a community that will support children. Tomorrow we can look back and say, we have made the world a better place because we have groomed and developed, better quality of adults. So thank you so much, everyone, for being here. It's gonna have to be bye for now. We will see you again in another broadcast. You want to say bye, Miss Fumi?
All right. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for having
Miss
us.
Eri?
Thank you.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you so
Bye.
much, Miss Eri. Bye. Bye, Miss Eri.
Bye.
Bye, Miss
Thank you,
Fumi.
Terry. Bye.
Bye. Wow, everyone, I hope you got great value from everything that was said today. Please help me put in your feedback. Can you in the comment section? Let's have your feedback. You can reach me directly, or you can just put your comments in on this space, and I'm going to see it, and I will respond to you personally. Thank you so much. I'll be reaching out to you, to the 5 people who have stayed on from the beginning to this time. I'm going to reach out to you, and we can talk about how you can get your free 30 minutes consultation. It's bye for now. Thank you very much. Bye.